Cities can be dark labyrinths, packed full of secrets, intrigue, and a change to the way of life around every corner. So it's no surprise that in the maze of dark alleys that is Saint-Denis in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can also bump into your fair share of unsavoury characters here in the big city. In today's video we are going to be revisiting perhaps Saint-Denis' darkest secret of all, the vampire. Now, if you read the in-game newspapers, you may have come across an article indicating strange killings occurring in Saint-Denis. In the Blackwater Ledger number 65, the New Hanover Gazette number 30, or the Saint-Denis Times number 46, you can find an article titled, "A Fifth Person Slain." It reads, "Pattern identified, message scrawled in blood, worries intensify of plague, similar to deaths years ago. Residents of Saint-Denis are living in fear as the ritualistic deaths from years ago have returned. The pattern is the same. Teeth marks like those of a hyena or dog on the body are noticeable. There are messages scrawled next to the body in blood. Some have attributed the deaths to yellow fever, but others cite vampires as the cause. Saint-Denis lawmen announced years ago that they had caught the culprit and indeed did hang Bosco Lopez, who had spent many years living in Argentina before arriving in Saint-Denis by frigate. Now that a fifth victim has been found, lawmen are expressing caution, indicating that all residents should avoid travelling alone in the evening wherever possible, and keep all residences without locks barricaded overnight. Women are especially advised to show caution, as they are more often than not the victims of attacks." From this article we can gather that Saint-Denis has something of a series of killings that have gone unexplained. The culprit was allegedly caught and killed for his crimes. However, the killings have continued. Many citizens of Saint-Denis believe that the perpetrator of these crimes is a vampire, and you can find further allusion to vampiric activity within the city in dialogue overheard between Karen and Mary Beth in Chapter 4 at camp.
"I tell you what, Little Miss Romance, I was right."
About what?
Saint-Denis.
How so?
It ain't romantic, it's evil.
Evil can be very romantic.
Shut up. I talked to this couple in town. They told me there's this old rumor about people drinking blood. Human blood. In town.
That's just a silly old wives' tale.
What? Blood drinking ain't romantic enough for you?
Depends on whose blood.
Very funny.
The rumour of people drinking blood in Saint-Denis and the rumour of a vampire on a killing spree in the city must be related, and so it's time to head to town and find out what on earth is going on here, and hopefully in the process catch ourselves a vampire. Whilst exploring the city you can find ominous writing on the walls in 5 different locations. They read 5 bones under the perfect star. Nosferatu with Dominica will become mortal again. Oh sweetest of napes, may your blood remain forever on my lips. 6 there will be before the lust is sated. With one long kiss I draw the life from her and await the outpost of the advancing day. I feed again the blood of life. The circle has begun. I drink from the maiden and I live again in the dead. The heart of the ring of blood. What we can gather from all this are these are the 5 murder scenes mentioned in the newspaper articles. For some reason, the writings on the walls are still there. If you make note of all 5 of them in your journal, you will be able to draw a crude pentagram between all 5 of the locations, and thanks to the text on the wall, we know there is going to be a 6th victim. Now all that's left is to head to the nearby hotel and wait until night time, as I cannot imagine vampires striking during the day. Once it has reached night time, roughly between 12 AM and 1 AM, we need to head to roughly the centre of this crude pentagram drawn in our journals. It is important to not get distracted along the way, as this breaks down the encounter and the game does tempt you a little bit with this. But when we arrive at the location, it is here where we will catch the elusive killer in the act.
So, you found me. What are you doing?
Stay back for your own sake. I walk with the undead.
What, you're a vampire?
I have been called many names over the centuries. Now go, or I'll feed on you too.
You're a goddamn idiot.
I'll suck you dry.
Let's finish
Your
this.
blood is mine.
Wasting my time.
This supposed vampire now lays defeated. He's tall, with pale skin and pointy ears. He has long, sharp fingernails and is dressed in a rather solemn-looking black suit with the most minuscule amount of red detailing. If you loot his body, you will find stringy meat and bat wings. And of course, you can pick up his unique, ornate dagger. Is he a vampire? Let's not take the risk. In the alley where we found him, we can see the lifeless body of his 6th victim. In our dialogue with this vampire friend of ours, he tells us that he walks with the undead, and if we don't go, he will feed on us too. And when asked if he was a vampire, he says he's been called many names over the centuries, implying that he is either fully cracked or is indeed a vampire. But perhaps most ominous of all is his opening line of dialogue to the player. "So, you found me." He doesn't seem surprised that we found him. It's almost like he's been watching us track him down. And his evil cackles lead me to believe that to him it functioned as a form of entertainment. As a bit of detail for those hunting the vampire themselves, if the vampire attacks you with his knife and successfully lands a hit, you will die instantly, and he will not respawn when you load back in. So either save before the encounter or play it safe and shoot him in the face. And also, to save you from watching 1,000 useless YouTube videos on the subject, hog-tying him and waiting until sunrise does nothing, nor does taking him to the Butcher Creek pentagram. Just behave. Is there more to this vampire story though? Possibly. The question on everybody's mind is this a real vampire or a deluded serial killer? Well, the original murders were said to be carried out by Bosco Lopez, who was hanged for his crimes. So who is the vampire that we meet in the game? I'm going to say that this is Bosco Lopez. How? Well, he's a vampire. Allow me to explain. If we head to the road just north of McFarlane's ranch down in Hennigan's Stead, we can find a grisly sight. An ornate carriage on the side of the road, both of the horses dead, an empty coffin, and the lifeless body of the driver hanging by the neck from the back of the carriage. Considering Bosco Lopez came from Argentina, it is entirely possible that after his execution, his body would have been sent back, or in the game's instance, at least sent back in the general direction. And because he was already a vampire and therefore undead, Bosco Lopez broke out of his coffin, killed the driver and the horses, and began to make his way back to Saint Denis to complete his ritualistic killings and satisfy his lust for drinking blood, leaving the driver's body hanging by the neck from his own carriage as a twisted mockery of his own execution. Of course, there are holes in this theory. It has been years since the alleged killings carried out by Bosco Lopez, but it's entirely possible that he was originally buried in Saint Denis and only got free after his body was being transported back to Argentina or somewhere else. Also, a few years is likely not going to be very long to a vampire, which is allegedly an undead creature that, according to the vampire himself, has been around for centuries. Furthermore, that hearse is found in a location only accessible during the epilogue, which is set 8 years after the main story. However, I don't put too much stock in trusting those dates to be specific to everything you find within those areas. After all, this is a video game and those areas were initially intended to be a part of the main story too, and that did get changed, I believe. so therefore every single detail can't be relied upon to be specific to the year in which it is found. However, I like to think that Bosco Lopez is the vampire that we encounter, and I will explain why. This entire vampire encounter is an Easter egg. The vampire's physical appearance is based on Count Orlok, which is the main antagonist of the German 1922 silent horror film Nosferatu, which is mentioned by name in one of the writings. In that film, apparently, I've never seen it, but my research is telling me the vampire arrived by ship and people started dying, not dissimilarly to how Bosco Lopez arrived in Saint Denis and people started dying. And therefore, on the basis of this Easter egg, I like to think we therefore have our vampire's identity. Is the guy really a vampire in the game? I'd like to think so. Supernatural is not abnormal for the side content in Red Dead Redemption 2, considering you've got UFOs, time travelers, and deity-like entities such as the Strange Man. A vampire really isn't a push, which brings us nicely to the end of this video. So, thank you all for watching. I really hope that you've enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. That would be super fantastic. And remember to whack the notification bell on, it really helps the channel out. And with any luck, I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point, but until next time, please take care and goodbye.